because Rukmini Dwadashi just passed. Of course, it was immediately followed by Narsimha Chaturdashi. So it got drowned in Narsimha Chaturdashi. So I like to just read from the Srimad Bhagavatam a few verses and then maybe discuss some of those things with you in remembrance of this amazingly wonderful pastime enacted by Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Daivim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Ruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading, I will share my screen, and if you want to, you can see my screen. I think we will read from the Srimad Bhagavatam, the great, wonderful pastime of Krishna kidnapping Rukmini. So I'm just choosing the famous 7 shlokas of Rukmini, and we shall read that few of them. Canto 10, chapter 52, text 37. Shri Rukmini Vacha Shrutuva Gunan Bhuvana Sundara Srinavatam Te Nirvishya Karna Vivarair Harato Angatapam Rupam Drisham Drishimatam Akhilartha Labham Tvai Achyuta Vishati Chittam Apatrapam Me. Shri Rukmini said in her letter as read by the Brahmana, O beauty of the worlds, having heard of your qualities which enter the ears of those who hear and remove their bodily distress, and having also heard of your beauty which fulfills all the visual desires of those who see, I have fixed my shameless mind upon you, O Krishna. Purport: Rukmini was a king's daughter, courageous and bold, and furthermore, she would rather die than lose Krishna. Considering all this, she wrote a frank, explicit letter begging Krishna to come and take her away. Next. I'm reading from Canto 10, chapter 52, text 38. Can you see my screen? Do you want to see my screen?
Yeah, Maharaj, if you can share that.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, Maharaj, we can see.
My screen is shared.
Yes, we can see now.
Okay.
Yep.
Katva Mukunda Mahati Kulashila Rupa Vidya Vayo Dravina Dhamabhir Atmatulyam Dhirapatin Kulavatina Vrinita Kanya Kalendra Simhanara Lokamano Abhiramam. O Mukunda, you are equal only to yourself in lineage, character, beauty, knowledge, youthfulness, wealth, and influence. O lion among men, you delight the minds of all mankind. What aristocratic, sober-minded, and marriageable girl of a good family would not choose you as her husband when the proper time has come? Tanme bhavan khalu vritah patirangajaya atmarpitascha bhavato atra vibho videhi ma vira bhagam avimarshatu chaidya ara tuma yuvan mrigapater balimam bhujaksha. Therefore, my dear Lord, I have chosen you as my husband, and I surrender myself to you. Please come swiftly, O Almighty One, and make me your wife. my dear lotus-eyed Lord, let Shishupala never touch the hero's potion like a jackal stealing the property of a lion. That's interesting. पूर्तेष्टदत्त नियम व्रतदेव विप्रा गुरु अर्चनाधिवीरलं भगवान् परेशः आराधितो यदि गदाग्रजयेत्यपानिं गृह्णातु मेन धमघोष सुतादयो अन्ये. If I have sufficiently worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead by pious works, sacrifices, charity, rituals and vows, and also by worshipping the demigods, brahmanas and gurus, then may Gadagraja come and take my hand and not Dhamagosha's son or anyone else. The Acharyas comment as follows on this verse. Rukmini felt that no one could obtain Lord Krishna by the efforts of a single lifetime. Therefore, she earnestly pointed out the pious activities she had performed in that life and previous lives, hoping to convince Sri Krishna to come. Shobhavini tvam ajitodvahane vidarbhan gupta sametya pratana patibihi paritah nirmatya chaidya magadendra balam prasahaya mam rakshashena vidinodvaha virya shulkam. O unconquerable one, tomorrow when my marriage ceremony is about to begin, you should arrive unseen in Vidarbha and surround yourself with the leaders of your army. Then crush the forces of Chaidya and Magadendra and marry me in the Rakshasa style, winning me with your valor. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Very happy to be here with all of you. Life is so suddenly changed in so many different ways. We have to be satisfied with virtual physical association. But our association itself need not be virtual because Krishna is involved. We may contact on Zoom and still have association. Association is of the soul. It is soul to soul. It is not body to body. Right? In the material world, people think association is body to body. And that's all they know. At the most, they can have mind to mind. And sometimes they have an intellectual exercise. But association really means soul to soul. And soul to soul association with Krishna, networking as the main nodal point is amazingly wonderful. That all of us are networked. Krishna is a node. In the material world, they make the mistake of taking Krishna out of the network. And all of those networks fail. Like all the telephone communications here in India, repeatedly they fail. While I was giving a seminar yesterday, the day before yesterday, it failed. Then after we connected up, it came back, the power failed. Then we connected with UPS. Then I told them this is designed for failure. So continuously it fails. And we are not surprised. We are not surprised that this is happening. Right? But since Krishna is a nodal point for our network need not fail. As long as we continue to discuss Krishna, Srinavatam Swakata Krishna, Punya Shravana Kirtana. As long as we are hearing Krishna and his beautiful pastimes, we will all remain associated in the real sense of the word. So devotees can go into deeper level of association, actual association in this lockdown. This is a great advantage. And many devotees are doing that. They're getting together, discussing, chanting, and they're so free. And I amazingly see that devotees are very happy during the lockdown. It's very amazing that they say, oh, long I wanted to always read the Bhagavatam and I'm getting time to read. I'm joining with people online and Zoom and everything else and reading. And I take very less prasadam. I exercise. I read and read and read and read to my heart's content. This is what I'm hearing from many devotees. So I think they're enjoying the lockdown in some way. Although they are facing other difficulties and problems, still they seem to be happy in some way or the other. So this is Krishna's doing. So by Krishna's pastimes, amazing things happen. All his pastimes are adbhuta, wonderful, right? So we are hearing what these few verses, that is an amazing pastime Krishna executed. The pastime of actually kidnapping Rukmini. This is amazing. Only Krishna can do these type of things, you see. And here we're just reading that Rukmini is saying, come and take me, like in a Rakshasa style. Rukmini is a very young girl. Very, very young girl. And she is written in desperation to Krishna. It is a love letter plus a desperate love letter, and a desperate love letter asking for shelter, and a desperate love letter asking for shelter by kidnapping. That's a very interesting part of it, right? So actually she's selling Rakshasa style. Rukmini, also called Vaidarbhi, you see, actually related in a distant way. Bhishmaka's daughter, and he also had 5 sons. Those 5 sons, their names are also mentioned. The eldest one was Rukmi. Then there was, all names were Rukmarta, Rukmakesha, Rukmamali, like that. 5 sons and 1 daughter. And 1 daughter was Rukmini. There's all a Ruku family. It's all Rukma, Rukmi, Rukmamali, and Rukmini. So she was the only sister, and Rukmi was the eldest. And Rukmi, Jarasandha, Sishupala, Dantavakra, all of them are friends. Is another group completely inimical to Krishna, right? Even Krishna had enemies. You must know that. Don't think each one of us is troubled by some people who are opposing us. In the material world, opposition is very good, because when we have constant opposition, we move towards Krishna, right? So material world is designed with opposition to your sense gratification constantly. Indian government has opposition. Every government has a healthy opposition to make the government function properly, right? So having opposition is very nice. Krishna's opposition makes it so wonderful that he performs his beautiful pastimes in opposition, and he's always victorious over his opposition. Okay? Yatra Yogeshwaro Krishna, Yatra Partha Dhanurdhara, Tatra Sri Vijayo Bhutir, Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. Always there is Vijaya. Always there is victory for Krishna. So that's why it makes it very sweet. So Krishna's enemies, they all got together. And Rukmini, even Rukmini's father, Bhishmaka, in his mind he was thinking, Rukmini is such a beautiful girl. Not only that, she is very talented, very good. And she's a Kshatriya lady. And she, as people would come and go here and there in Vidarbha, Kaundinyapura is the capital of Vidarbha. And she was in Kaundinyapura with her father. And she kept hearing about Krishna. From a very young age, she kept on hearing Krishna is like this, he did this Leela, he killed that demon, then he is like this, he is like that. So her heart grew very, very fond of Krishna. In her simple heart, this young girl thought, if at all I marry, I should marry only Krishna, because I'm very attracted to him by hearing his pastimes. Okay. On the other side, even Krishna in Dwaraka kept hearing about Rukmini from different types of people. She's a very beautiful girl. He heard about Rukmini, and mentally he also thought that if she is very beautiful, she should be with me. It is a natural affection of Lakshmi and Narayana. Rukmini is Lakshmi herself, right? And Krishna has moved now to Dwaraka. He performed his pastimes in Vrindavana, then Mathura, and then he has moved to Dwaraka. Dwaraka means he's about 22 years old and something. Rukmini is hearing about Krishna, and Krishna is hearing about Rukmini. So one fine day, Rukmini, pushing his father a lot, decided that my sister Rukmini should be given in marriage to Sishupala. Now Sishupala is a cousin of Krishna. He's also the cousin of Arjuna. Sishupala is the son of Dhamaghosh. Dhamaghosh married Vasudeva's sister. Vasudeva's sister is also Kunti. Kunti's sister is Shrutakirti. Shrutakirti married Dhamagosha. And so Dhamagosha's son is Sishupala. Kunti's son is Arjuna. So Arjuna and Sishupala are cousins. And Arjuna and Krishna are also cousins. Because Vasudeva's sister is Kunti. And Krishna is the son of Vasudeva. In this way, Sishupala, Arjuna and Krishna are cousins. They're all cousins. And Rukmini is being married to Sishupala, Krishna's cousin. And Rukmi is arranging that, right? Rukmi is arranging that. You must remember that Rukmi, also in another pastime, he was killed by Balaram. In this pastime, you will see that he is protected by Balaram. It's very amazing. Rukmi will be killed by the Gada, playing dice with Balaram, and he will cheat Balaram. And the king of Kashi will sit and smile. All of them together will cheat Balaram while playing dice. Then Ashiriri will say that these people are cheating you. And then Balaram will immediately take his mace and bam, kill Rukmi right on the spot. It is during the marriage of Aniruddha and Usha. In the marriage, he will kill. And then he will remove all the teeth of the Kashi king, because he was always smiling whenever Rukmi was teasing Balaram. He'll remove his teeth with a mace. I think he is the Adi dentist, the first dentist. He removed all the teeth and he broke all the limbs of that kings who were sitting and laughing along with Rukmi and subtly supporting. All Asuric people, very silently, passive support. Broke all their teeth. And in this pastime, you'll see that same Balaram will protect Rukmi from almost dying. So this Rukmi, that enviousness he got towards Krishna. My sister is so beautiful, and I'm sure my father tried to get married to Krishna. And I want to step in between, so he made arrangement for her to marry. And Bhishmaka, although in his heart could not say anything, because of his affection for his son Rukmi, he agreed. All arrangements were made. Wonderful arrangements were made by Bhishmaka in the city of Kaundinyapura. And Rukmi got everything ready. And he knew that Krishna may come and he may try to take Rukmini away. So he called Jarasandha, he called Dantavakra, he called all the other Asuric kings also. They all came Shalva, and everybody came because they want to take part in this wedding. And Rukmini is also very beautiful. They want to see Rukmini. So Rukmini, in desperation, after trying many things, father cannot do anything, nobody can do anything. So she called forth a Brahmana, gave this letter to him, told him, deliver it immediately to Krishna in Dwaraka. This is my last chance. This is my last chance. And this is the letter we are reading. It's a very beautiful letter. In desperation, she has written these 7 verses that you find in the 10th canto. And they're very powerful. She's saying, Yadava Simha, oh lion among the Yadavas, come and get me. Don't leave me to Damagosha's son. He's a jackal. Don't make me the possession of that jackal. If you don't come, I will mostly come. In this way, she pushes Krishna. Suppose Krishna decides, what shall I do there? How will I go? For everything, she has given reason. She's even planned it for Krishna. She says that, I know you're thinking in your mind that how will you, Jarasandha and all of them you can kill, but my relatives who have not done anything wrong, them and kill them and take me, you're thinking, no. So don't take me while I'm in the house. I will be coming outside to the Durga temple, the family deity. I'll be coming outside the city to take darshan. That time there'll be a very huge procession. And all of these kings also will come to see me. So in that place, when I come out from there is the best time to get me. You must come and take me from there. She's giving plan how to do. And then she's even saying, Rakshasha, Rakshashena, you must take me like Rakshasha wedding. So this is one sense Swayamvara. Swayamvara means, Vara means my own choice, my own sankalpa. Swayamvara means when the girl can choose her husband. That is Swayamvara. So actually Rukmini has already chosen Krishna, but she is being pushed to marry Shishupala. So she wanted the Swayamvara to happen as a Swayamvara. So she's telling, my choice only, you should come and take me and go. Then only it will be a Swayamvara. Otherwise it will be arranged marriage by my father. I don't want to marry Shishupala. Okay. So actually this Rakshasa wedding, Krishna did all sorts of weddings. I mean, in the Manusmriti, there are 8 types of weddings given. Brahma, Arsha, and then Brahma, Arsha, Prajapatya, Daiva, Gandharva, Asura, Rakshasa, Pishacha. 8 types of weddings in the Manusmriti. The Brahma wedding is that a very qualified person is called for getting married to the daughter. This is high class wedding. His good qualities, man of very good qualities, Brahmana man, is asked to come and please take my daughter. Please, please. You're a man of very good qualities. So he accedes and he comes and there is great prosperity. Because the girl is also good, man is also good. Then Harsha, you give few cows and then you get a bride. That's not considered to be very high class, but something you want to give. You give cows and the bride is got to you. Prajapatya wedding means a man is requesting in duty handfully for a virgin maiden, Kanyastri, and he's giving because he wants to procreate and have a family and do his duty as a man. Then this Daiva means in a big sacrifice, a virgin girl is given to the person who conducts the sacrifice. You know, the Hotra, Udgatra, like that, there are people who conduct. Because he's done the sacrifice very well, the virgin is offered. That is called Daiva. It means like it's arranged by the Lord only. It's like a prasadam, he's getting a virgin lady for doing such a wonderful sacrifice. Gandharva Vivaha means two people like each other very much. They get married. Because both of them equal love for them. They don't see their jadagam, they don't see their horoscope, anything. They simply get married. Then there is Asuric, which means you give money for the bride, take the bride and go. It is considered to be low class. You're almost buying the bride. Rakshasa means carrying the bride away from a group where she is situated and then fighting with them and taking the bride away. This is Rakshasa wedding. Pisacha wedding means when the lady is sleeping, take her away. Sleeping or she's doing something else, you shut her up and then take her away. This is Pisacha wedding. In this way, 8 weddings are described. I did some research on this. What is the meaning of Rakshasa wedding? And then I found that there are 8 types of wedding mentioned in the Manusmriti. And Rakshasa wedding is by force carrying away the lady. There are so many other. Of course, we may have to add a few more nowadays in the days of the internet and social media. We should have maybe social media weddings, Instagram weddings, email weddings. So many of them are going on and they are so fast that they last for 2 years and then there's another wedding for each one of them. And there is divorce and the wedding goes on and on and on. It's not that they have only one wedding. It happens and breaks and happens and breaks. So that will be a different type of wedding. Temporary weddings. We have to add many more lists to this. Different types of weddings. Anyway, that's apart. So this is Rakshasa wedding. And Krishna, he was advised by Rukmini that you should come and take me away like a Rakshasa. That is the only way possible. That's the only way possible. So this Brahmana, he came all the way. Krishna met him. Actually, it's mentioned that Krishna welcomed him, washed his feet, paid respects to a Brahmana as he should, massaged his feet, and then asked, is everything is okay? Is there any help I can give you? What brings you here? Then he gave the letter. The letter was sealed, not to be opened by anybody else. So he broke the seal in front of the Brahmana. Krishna broke the seal and read the letter. His 7 shlokas he read. Then he closed and he told the Brahmana, I too am interested in getting the hand of Rukmini. I heard about her. Let's go. And he told Daruka immediately, arrange the chariot, I'm going. And that Brahmana, he was also taken in the chariot. And at a jet set speed, Krishna went. Because there was only 1 day left. This is the previous days. All the Janavasam and all the other things and all were done. Only thing was the marriage, the final marriage ceremony between Shishupala and Rukmini. All the other preliminaries were already done. So Krishna arrived in Kauntanyapura. And then Balaram came to know in Dwaraka that Krishna has gone to get Rukmini. Then he said, why did he go alone? All these people will attack him. So he took the army and he also followed. So both of them arrived there. So Bhishmaka came to know that Krishna and Balaram have come. So he became so happy. For some reason his heart was pounding. So he came personally outside the city and met with Krishna and Balaram and gave them all gifts and welcomed them. Then the townspeople got to see Krishna and Balaram. Then everybody in their heart was thinking, what an amazingly handsome looking person is Krishna. Is he not the best person for our Rukmini? Everybody started talking in the town. I have a strange feeling that I think he has come to marry Rukmini. I think he's come to take away Rukmini. I hope he takes away Rukmini. I wish he takes away Rukmini. That idiot Shishupala should never get Rukmini. In this, there was a gossip and buzzing around. Everybody, especially all the ladies, got around and started talking very fast. Seeing Krishna was very naturally attractive to everybody. His beautiful stance. He was walking in the city, very boldly walking. And then in the other side, Rukmini in the palace was becoming frustrated. Where is that Brahmana? He never came back. So tomorrow is the wedding and tonight she cursed herself and said, okay, I'm not qualified. Krishna has rejected me. Maybe I am not good enough. Maybe I'm not good enough. So she became very depressed and she was lying down, and the Brahmana came all of a sudden, completely tired, dusty. He had traveled so long and come back, so crossed the ocean and gone, and come back so fast. So as soon as he saw her, she was so surprised, and he said, Krishna has come. As soon as he said that, she became so happy. It seemed she took her necklace and gave it to the Brahmana. Never will you suffer poverty. Never will you suffer poverty. In this way, that Brahmana got blessings from Lakshmi. Even today, there is a separate class of Brahmanas coming from that Brahmana who got this benediction from Rukmini. When I was in Kanpur temple opening, I remember that Devakinandan Prabhu, he introduced the head of that Brahmin community. They came to know that ISKCON is building a temple for Krishna. And they came all the way in a group and said, how dare you build temple without telling us? We are Rukmini Brahmanas. We are supposed to donate for that. Because in our Brahmin community, we are never poor by Rukmini's blessings. And if Krishna's temple is being built, without us, you cannot build a temple like this. You have to take our charity. And they came and gave money. So much money. I wish I can get in touch with this Brahmin community. So they came and gave money. They said, we belong to this Rukmini Brahmin community. They are still existing. And they are richest people. Normally Brahmins are cursed to be poor. In Daksha's sacrifice also, they got a curse that Brahmins will always be poor. So most Brahmins are poor only. They are very knowledgeable, very talented, everything. Of course, Kali Yuga Brahmins are different. They work in Microsoft and they work in Google and everything. And they may not be having much Brahmin behavior or anything, but they are Brahmins in name only. So she became so happy, and the Brahmin got the best blessing. She got ready. She dressed herself wonderfully. She was going the next day to Durga Mandap. She took blessings of Durga, prayed to Durga, Krishna should be my husband. She held her girlfriend's hand and she walked down. You know, the very highly beautiful Rukmini. It's very, very beautiful. It is mentioned by other acharyas, the Goswamis, that how did he marry Rukmini like this? Because he knows that he has left all the gopis in Vrindavana and he has come. Why did he marry? Because it is mentioned, Sriya Kanta Kanta Paramapurusha Kalpataravo Dhruma Bhumi Amritam. It is mentioned that just like Radharani is for Vrindavan, that same Radharani's expansion only is Rukmini. Lakshmi Sahasra Satasam Brahma Sevyamanam. In that the main Lakshmi is Rukmini. She gave the same pleasure to Krishna in Swakiya Rasa, not in Parakiya Rasa. Krishna said, I'll come back to the Vrindavan Vasis. He got married to Rukmini and 16,108 wives came out of the whole Dwaraka pastime and Mathura pastime and everything. So here you can see that he is getting married because of his great attachment to all of these manifestations of Radharani, especially Lakshmi. So he is reciprocating with Rukmini and he has come there very boldly. Also, Rukmini is a very bold girl. She has written this letter. She doesn't know, she has not seen Krishna, nothing. She has written a letter, sent a Brahmana all the way and brought him. Very bold girl. She is very courageous and very bold. In Krishna consciousness, if you want Krishna, you should be courageous and bold. You should do everything possible to get Krishna. You should not be overcome by superstition, by sentiment, by social situations. We want Krishna and we should do everything possible to get Krishna. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada was a very bold preacher. He was bold in presenting Krishna consciousness. They were walking across Victoria Memorial in Calcutta and Prabhupada recollected that
When I was young, this was getting constructed and the scaffolding was so high, I climbed the whole scaffolding and went right up to the top. So people saw that building, all his disciples, and said, Prabhupada, you were very bold. Then Prabhupada corrected, said, I am still bold. How you think I came to America when I'm 70 years old? I am still bold. Right? So very courageous and bold. One has to be to present Krishna consciousness, to go for Krishna. Whole lot of other types of things Maya puts in front of you to minimize your value for Krishna, minimize Krishna consciousness. But we should be focused in getting Krishna. Like Rukmini is focused in getting Krishna. Never mind Shishupala. Never mind the marriage ceremony already has gone 2/3 inside. Never mind the promise of my brother. I will definitely get Krishna. Otherwise, what's the use of living? What's the use of, not that I want to marry Krishna alone, but Krishna, I am Krishna's eternal servant. So bold proposal she gave to Krishna himself. Krishna got very happy to see what a bold girl she is, calling for me to come and kidnap her. So he came. He appeared there. And then, exactly when she came out of the Durga Mandapam, she very carefully lifted her head to see Krishna, because she has heard Krishna is already here. And there she saw Krishna. And she just moved towards like that. And Krishna coolly took her and put on the chariot. Everybody was so stunned by Krishna's Maya. They did not do anything. They did not know what to do. What is this person doing? From where did he come? All of a sudden, everything happened. He took her and just coolly galloped and went away. After he left only, they said, what are we doing? You know what is happening. And then only they chased. And then Krishna routed them. Balaram came and routed all of them. And Krishna took Rukmini and went. Rukmini became so angry. So angry. What to speak of Sushupala? All of them were sitting and gaping and looking. And they were all, their mouths all fell down when they saw Rukmini coming from the Durga Mandapam. They were so dazed. It seems it's mentioned some of them fell down from their chariot, seeing the beauty of Rukmini. So they were so dazed. Only person not dazed was Krishna. Dazing left them. Krishna had already crossed. Then only they came to know. Right? So by Krishna's potency, they were completely overcome by the beauty of Rukmini. He left. And then Balaram routed all of them. Then Rukmini said, I am not coming back till I get my sister back. So he ran behind Krishna's chariot. He tried to fight. Krishna overcome Rukmini. And he was almost getting ready to kill Rukmini. And that time Rukmini is, she has not yet spoken to Krishna. Very young girl sitting on the chariot. And she wanted to tell, please don't do this to my brother. And she fell at Krishna's feet. For the first time, Balaram appeared there. Seeing Rukmini's plight, he immediately understood what was going on and he chastised great anxiety. Right? You leave Rukmini. And so Krishna shaved his mush and this and that, insulted him and left him. And then Rukmini went back to Dwarka and there was a grand wedding ceremony. There was a grand wedding ceremony and Rukmini became a resident in one of the palaces of Dwarka. This is the story that we hear. So, the lessons we can learn from these letters are very wonderful. I'm going back to that letter. Can you share the screen again with you? You can see it. Shobhavini tvam achitot vahane vidarbhan gupta sametya pratana patibhi paritah nirmatya chaidya magadhendra balam prahasya prasahya mam rakshashena vidunodvaha virya shulkam. She is so intelligent that she is advising Krishna at what time you should come and take me, how you should take me. She's nicely planned it out, very nicely planned it out for Krishna, right? Antah purantaraccharim anihatya bandhum tvam udbahe katamiti pravadami upayam purvedyur asti mahati kuladeva yatra yasyam bahir navavadhu girijam upeyat. Since I will be staying within the inner chambers of the palace, you may wonder, how can I carry you away without killing some of your relatives? But I shall tell you a way. On the way, before the marriage, there is a grand procession to honor the royal family's deity. And in this procession, the new bride goes outside the city to visit goddess Girija. Yasya angri pankaja rajahas napanam mahanto vanchanti umapati rivatmatamo apahatyai Yari ambuchakshana labhyeha bhavat prasadam jahyam asum vratakrishan shatajanma bhisyat. O lotus-eyed one, great souls like Lord Shiva hanker to bathe in the dust of your lotus feet and thereby destroy their ignorance. If I cannot obtain your mercy, I shall simply give up my vital force, which will have become weak from the severe penances I will perform. Then after hundreds of lifetimes of endeavor, I may obtain your mercy. In this way concludes the prayers of this beautiful Rukmini. And Rukmini became the wonderful wife of Krishna. She is known to be very, very quiet, not aggressive like Satyabhama, very much dedicated to Krishna, fully absorbed in Krishna. And that is why Krishna sometimes has to tease Rukmini in order to make her talk, make her show some emotions and everything. That's why you'll see Rukmini Krishna Samvada. The Rukmini Krishna Samvada is so beautiful Samvad that Krishna is teasing Rukmini. He's actually teasing Rukmini, saying, why did you get married to me? There were so many kings available for you in the Swayamvara. So many capable people. You married this cowherd fellow who has no wealth, nothing to offer to you. I don't know how you are able to tolerate this. I am like this, I am like that, I am like this. He started saying everything wrong, opposite, just to tease her. But Rukmini became so much affected by it that she fainted and fell down while she was fanning Krishna. And Krishna realized then she has taken all these things very seriously. So he had to keep her on his lap and bring her back to consciousness and speak to her sweet words. And then Rukmini got up and said, no, what you said is true. And she gave a completely different, beautiful interpretation for everything she said. What you said is true only. And then she gave the real meaning of what it means. In this way, Rukmini came as Rukmini is supposed to be Gadadhar in Lord Chaitanya's Leela. And Gadadhar was very quiet. Jagadananda Pandit was Satyabhama. And Satyabhama was very aggressive. Same way, Jagadananda Pandit was very aggressive. Would openly, speak to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was sort of getting a little close with the widow's son, very nice looking boy. And he would say, tell him to come and meet me every day and give him prasadam. Jagadananda Pandit loudly criticized and said, this is not good. The mother of this person, this boy, is a widow and you should not meet him. People will talk about you. He's the only person who could criticize Lord Chaitanya. Openly he will say, I can't stand if people criticize you. So you don't, and he told that boy, listen, you don't come here. You should not come here. He told the boy separately, don't come. And Lord Chaitanya became furious. Not only are you telling that boy not to come, you're also correcting me. So this was what he would do. And then the famous pastime of him, shutting the door and not coming out for 3 days because Lord Chaitanya didn't use the sandalwood oil that he had personally made and brought all the way from Navadvip. He broke the whole pot of sandalwood oil in the Gambhira, wasted it, everything, went and locked himself in the room for 3 days. Then after 3 days, everybody came and told Lord Chaitanya is not coming out. Who knows what happened? I don't hear any sound. The Lord Chaitanya went and knocked the door, and he knows very well how to handle Jagadananda Pandit. You know, so he knocked the door and said, Jagadananda, I want you to cook. I'm going to take my bath. When I come back, I want to take lunch. As soon as he said that and went, Jagadananda rushed outside and did a fantastic cooking. All in no time he did it. Super cook. And then he fed Lord Chaitanya. And the cooking was so good, Lord Chaitanya enjoyed. And because he enjoyed, he gave a lot to Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya commented that, wow, you're normally such a good cook. But when you get angry and cook, it is even more tasty. Like this, he commented. And Jagadananda Pandit, yes, it is tasty, so take more. He used it and fed more to Lord Chaitanya. Until Lord Chaitanya got up and said, stop it. I've eaten already enough for 10 people. Now you must eat, then only I'll go from here. And then Jagadananda Pandit said, I'm not eating. I've got other friends and others who help me. I'll put for them prasad, then only I'll eat. Then he immediately told Govinda, make sure that he eats. So as soon as Lord Chaitanya went, he told Govinda, get up, go and massage his feet, don't sit here. He gave orders over and above Lord Chaitanya. And Govinda was afraid of not following the orders of Jagadananda. Forget the orders of Lord Chaitanya, I don't mind breaking it. But Jagadananda's orders, I can never break. Everybody was terrorized. So he also left. And Lord Chaitanya said, why did you come? I told you not to come. He said, get up and go. I cannot stay there. So Lord Chaitanya did not go to sleep. Then he sent Govinda to see whether he is eating. When he came and said, yes, he is eating, then only he went to take rest. Such were the dealings of Jagadananda and Lord Chaitanya, Satyabhama and Krishna also. You know, the Parijata flower pastime. But on the contrary, Rukmini, very silent, completely filled with affection and love for Krishna. So happy to be serving Krishna, right? So in this pastime, you will see that you have this pastime of that famous scholar, you know, Vallabhacharya. Vallabha, what is his name? His name was Vallabh something. He was very proud of his scholarship. And then he was there in the assembly asking all sorts of, because he was wanting to show his scholarship. And all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya always snubbed him down. He asked questions like, you know, Krishna is the Purusha. And living entities are all Prakriti. So, how you can actually call him by his name, Krishna. The wife does not call the husband by name. So he came with these fantastic explanations. And he came and asked, every time he asks these questions and they give some answer and then they laugh. So he gets insulted. So this time Advaita Acharya said, no, the right person to answer this question is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. He is the best person. He was very mischievously putting it on Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya came out and he asked him this question, Vallabha. And Lord Chaitanya said that, my dear Vallabha, you must know that what the pati, the husband, says is the duty for the wife. If the husband says, chant my name, then the wife has to do it. It is her duty. In this way, he defeated the argument of Vallabha very nicely. So this was the mood. So Vallabha used to go to other people and he never got any shelter. Only Gadadhar used to listen to him and comfort him and calm him. Don't worry, don't worry. He would go to him and say all these things here and everybody's teasing me. So Gadadhar is the only one who used to give him solace. But then he would also feel afraid that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will think something about me. I'm giving shelter to him. And everybody else is against him. So he was afraid, why are you coming to me? Because Lord Chaitanya will think something. Right? So in this way, he was feeling very much. And Lord Chaitanya knew that he was feeling like this. He was feeling like this. So Lord Chaitanya would tease him, knowing his situation like this. So Rukmini and Krishna, they always had this very beautiful internal deep understanding, a relationship based on that. And there is a lot mentioned in Chaitanya Leela also about this. The different bhavas, the different type of tastes that Krishna had as a rasa with Rukmini. But coming back to this great letter written by Rukmini, this was the rasa. And Rukmini here sounds very aggressive, very bold, very courageous. But she was not like that actually in Dwaraka. She was very subdued, very quiet, and very obedient. Right? But when she wanted to get Krishna, she became aggressive, very aggressive. So a Vaishnava should be like this. In rendering devotional service, should make no compromise. Go all out of your way to do what you have got a right to do. That is to serve Krishna. You should never become in any way subdued or covered down by a material situation. A material situation can never stop devotional service to Krishna. It is only you who stop it, giving more importance to the material situation. No material situation can stop a person's bhakti. Right? That's what we learn many times in Krishna consciousness. And Rukmini's letter, she is making plans how to render service, how this service will be successful. It is not that we should not make plans for serving Krishna because Krishna is a supreme controller. His plan only works. So we don't have to make plans. Simply gaga, you live, chant Hare Krishna, everything will happen. No. We are supposed to plan, execute with Krishna's mercy. Daivam Chaivatra Panchamam. Krishna is a fifth factor in everything happening, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. But when you render his devotional service, all five factors are under Krishna's order. It's not in the material world, super soul operates as a fifth factor. According to the karma, he will sanction or not. But when you perform devotional service to Krishna with complete absorption, Chetasa sarva karmani mayi sanyasya matparaha buddhi yogam upashitya machitta satatam bhava. Exactly like that Rukmini did. Completely absorbed in Krishna, she gave a full try. I'm going to send a Brahmana, tell Krishna to come here and take me. It's an extreme measure. No lady will normally take that. And she has not seen Krishna, not familiar with Krishna also. Actually, Krishna is a stranger. Of course, Krishna is not a stranger to most people. He's a supreme personality of Godhead. Everybody knew that. But she, took a long shot in the dark, like they said. Let's try. By Krishna's mercy, it should happen. So many times, Prabhupada also tried. Let's try. Go to America and preach because it's the order of my Guru. So Prabhupada was asked, why did you go to America? Why did you not go to London? London is so famous. Britishers and everybody. So Prabhupada is known to have said, I thought I may fail. So if I fail, let me fail in a new place. Therefore, I went to America. Like this, he very humbly said. Right? So Prabhupada did a very amazing thing of shooting for the stars. Just like Rukmini did. He did that. But after achieving such a great thing, Prabhupada remained a very humble, still walking with his walking stick in the same places that he conquered fully in 12 years' time. And he became very rich with temples all over the world, books published, everything. But he remained the same person walking and preaching and talking on the beach in Bombay in the same way, very humble. You can see Rukmini, although she tried ferociously and she got what she wanted, in Dwaraka, she remained very humble serving Krishna. So Vaishnava must be humble in the association of Vaishnavas. So it is mentioned that you must be a lion in the chase and a lamb at home. Rukmini is calling Krishna Yadava Simha. Otherwise, he is Raghava Simha, Raghunandan Simha, Narasimha. We just celebrated the beautiful celebration of Narasimha Jayanti. So Simha, Simha Griva, Simha Hunkara. Lord Chaitanya is also described as Simha in Chaitanya Charitamrita. right? In this way, the Lord is a lion, and lion in the chase means we're chasing people to take up Krishna consciousness. You should remain lion-like when you preach, but be a lamb at home. When you come back home in the company of Vaishnavas, don't be a lion there. There you be a lamb amidst the legs of the Vaishnavas. That's why I tell people, when you go to work, people say, how can I practice humility in the workplace? That's not the place to practice humility. The type of Vaishnava humility is not to be practiced there. You know, I saw a poster that says, a cat is looking into the mirror, and in the mirror, there is a lion's reflection. A very beautiful picture. Cat is looking in the mirror, and it is seeing in the mirror lion's reflection. Because that's what the cat is thinking. I belong to the cat family. And it is seeing itself as a lion. And so another poster side by side, a lion saying, right, I work for money. If you want loyalty, go hire a dog. I found that to be very, very funny. There's a poster of a lion standing very majestically. Says, I work for money. If you want loyalty, go hire a dog. I am a lion, right? I don't have to worry. I'm a spirit soul. I belong to Krishna. I'm a devotee. I'm a lion. I'll do what I'm supposed to do. Don't ask me to do extra. I don't get cheated. I am not going to be loyal to the company and all that. I'm working here for money. I am a lion. I work for money. If you want loyalty, hire a dog. And there are many dogs available who will sell themselves. Loyalty, my company is everything for me. My ID is I'm constantly wearing. I belong to this company, and they buy into it, right? But devotees are working for money. That's very sure. They are lions who work for money. They remain loyal to Krishna. Just because they work for the company doesn't mean they'll speak the philosophy of the company and adopt the philosophy of the company, right? So this is a beautiful statement by Rukmini, saying that Yadava Simha, come and take me like a lion. So this is a preacher's life, a devotee's life in the Hare Krishna movement, in Prabhupada's mission, that we should never feel inferior. Oh, I'm a devotee, people are teasing me, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't socialize, I don't do this, so they tell you all belong to. No. And that is great. And none of you can do that. It's not so easy to do that. We have a higher taste. Teach. Prabhupada, all over the world, he went and said, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. India's culture, this is what it is. Presented it very boldly, very proudly, he presented it. He told us to be proud to be a devotee of Krishna. Don't have to feel inferior in front of the materialists. Materialists have only sophistication, material sophistication. And all the sophistication has been brought down in a jiffy by one small virus. Everybody is down. On their knees, they're down. All the material sophistication collapsed. Whole economy collapsed. Everything. Very difficult. Right? So, always Krishna is great. Associated with being associated with Krishna, being a devotee is high class. A devotee normally has high prestige and value for himself and for devotional service and for other devotees. Okay? There's things we can learn from Rukmini's letter. And exactly like she thought so, Krishna came. Kaunteya pratijanahi name bhakta pranashati. My devotee will never fail. I'll keep up my devotee's words. It is mentioned that Prahlad told Narsimha, Vishnu is everywhere. And then he was asked, is he in this pillar? And then Prahlad looked at the pillar. Immediately, the Lord appeared in the pillar and said, yes, I am here. Before he appeared as Narsimha, he gave him darshan in the pillar. He said, yes, I am here. And that's when he said, yes, he is there in the pillar. After seeing the Lord in the pillar only, Prahlad said, yes, he's in that pillar. That's when Hiranyakashipu banged the pillar and broke it. That's when he banged the pillar and broke it. And Narasimha appeared. For the sake of his devotee, he appears because of the faith of the devotee. So we all remain very dedicated to Prabhupada's words and the beautiful Bhagavatam and Harinam that he has given us. If you read them and believe these beautiful words about Krishna, then Krishna is promising, I'll protect you. Ma Sucha, don't be afraid. So I know many of us are in different situations in this lockdown, but we are devotees of the Lord. Krishna has a plan for those who are chanting Hare Krishna and performing devotional service. We will await that plan. We will continue to chant Hare Krishna and execute devotional service. And then Krishna will definitely appear. Yadava Simha will appear. He has a plan for all his devotees. Right? So we should very happily chant Hare Krishna, hear Srimad Bhagavatam, associate, hear Krishna's pastimes regularly. This is what is the cure for all ills. If we hear, chant and spread the holy name, this is the best way to get over the present situation. And I know all of you are already doing it. I don't need to be advising you. But this beautiful pastime, I thought I will relate with you because Rukmini Dwadashi, that's past. And I was thinking on that day, I never got a chance to read the Bhagavatam and hear about Rukmini. So thank you for giving me this opportunity today to read with you Rukmini's pastime and share with you a few realizations. Om Tat Sat, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Hare Krishna. If there's any question or comment, I can spend some of few minutes with all of you. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
So Maharaj, how would you like to do this, Maharaj? With the questions, you would like the participants to ask directly or they type on the chat window?
Anyway, however is comfortable for you, you can ask directly.
Okay.
No problem.
So if participants can raise their hands, so I will accordingly call them so that, accordingly they can start their questions.
You can unmute and then speak.
So Anirudh Seva Prabhu had few questions here chatted. So Anirudh Seva Prabhu, you want to start?
Anirudh Ji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thanks for your association. And it was
Really?
an excellent eye-opening class. So my question is that why Bhishmaka did not invite Krishna for the wedding of Rukmini in spite of knowing him personally?
Because what I heard is because his son Rukmi was very much against, and he had invited all the enemies of Krishna together. In his mind, he was already thinking that Krishna will be the best husband for Rukmini. And it's mentioned that Krishna knew about it. It's mentioned that Krishna knew about it and enacted this beautiful pastime so that Bhishmaka will actually be satisfied with exactly what he needs. What to speak of inviting Krishna? Krishna came on his own and took the bride and left. One thing is to invite a person to the marriage. The other thing is to have him come and take your daughter away, fighting all the other suitors. Right? That's what he did, Krishna. He did something more than just an invitation.
Yeah,
Okay.
thanks, Maharaj. Yeah,
Yes.
Maharaj, one more question I have. Actually, now, because to have a successful marriages, even amongst the devotee community, so why can't ISKCON start a grooming college for prospective boys and girls?
You want to have a grooming college?
Yes.
Yeah,
In the material world, it's already there.
yeah.
Just your
So
thoughts,
it's-
Maharaj.
The grooming college is required to groom them before they get married?
Yes, Maharaj.
Yes, they should. Actually, they should spend time with the grahasthas who are already married, and they should have a residence in their place for 3-4 months along with the grahastha and watch what grahastha life is. They should not think it is all honey and nectar. They should actually get to see live experience. That will be the best grooming. Okay, thank you. There are others raising.
Yeah, Hare
Ravindra,
Krishna.
Ravindra's iPad.
Yeah, Ravindra, so Prabhu, you want to ask a question?
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare.
Dandavat Pranam. Prabhu, one of your statement is very nice. After marriage, we all become lambs at home.
After marriage, you become lamb at home.
But the fact of the matter is, we are all not perfect, but we can always strive for perfection. So my experience has been that any event that we organize, plan and all, it is inappropriate for us to sideline and straight away say it was Krishna's mercy without putting proper efforts. In such situation, if I raise my voice to correct the person, is it correct or wrong?
I can't hear you fully. You came on and off. Somebody
Okay,
has to repeat.
I will repeat the question.
Yeah.
We are not perfect, but we can strive for perfection. In the event where we are planning, as you said, we have to plan. We cannot leave everything to Krishna. So during the planning or execution, if there are some mishaps, and then we straight away pass it on to, oh, it was Krishna's mercy, which is inappropriate according to me. We should have put in all the efforts to make things work. So under such circumstances, if I raise my voice against a devotee to correct him, is it right or wrong?
Well, should you raise your voice or should you say it without raising voice? That's what people will ask you.
Raise my voice means raise my opinion or express my opinion.
Okay, that's okay. Perfectly all right. In saying that we should have done it this way and we could have maybe got a better result. Things like that. But these are all very challenging situations because we have a highly heterogeneous group of devotees. It's not like working in your company. In your company, you have a homogeneous group of people. They're all for the money. They listen to the boss because whatever he says, we have to do. We have to get our salary. Who cares? I don't mind being homogeneous because I'm getting money. Homogeneity gives me my sustenance. But in the ISKCON movement, people don't get paid. So they have retained their heterogeneous, idea. In fact, they're very independently thoughtful and very separated, and each one has got his strong opinion and everything, right? So it's not, can never compare ISKCON organization, which is a volunteer organization for a completely devotional purpose, with normal organizations where everything is aligned, straightened, homogenized. Right? It is easy to do things there, easy to follow the hierarchy there. But in ISKCON, you have to tolerate volunteers who should be given independently thoughtful situations. Plus, we should be able to rally all of their opinions towards what is really good for the society, for preaching, for the devotees, and for outreach and everything together. It's quite a challenge. It's not so easy. So you have to depend, you're forced to depend a lot on Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So Sankirtan means working with everybody together. I say some Kirtan is very easy. Doing some Kirtan alone is very easy with your kartavas. But Lord has asked us to do Sankirtan along with everybody, render devotional service. Because when you do that, you'll become very purified. It's a lot austere. And especially if you worked in a professional organization, it will become even more austere for you. But when we do that, it's very good for us. It's very purifying. And then we learn to become patient. We learn to become humble. We learn to become cooperative. Because then only Sankirtan occurs. Otherwise, some Kirtan is very easy to do. Many people go away and they do their own little preaching and they grow a little bit and then it's gone. But if you want it to be a worldwide organization, then we all have to contribute to that big vision of Sankirtan. So Sankirtan is difficult. Some Kirtan is easy, but our movement is Sankirtan. So you have to tolerate and do that. And definitely will be Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. If you do it, you will definitely be successful. Not you alone, everybody together will be successful. That is great. So please tolerate. Hare Krishna.
Krishna Maharaj.
Yes.
The next,
Any other
the next,
question?
the next question is from Sridhari Madhav Prabhu. He has raised his hand. Sridhari Madhav Prabhu.
Yes.
Maharaj, Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol.
Maharaj, considering of course, Rukmini was goddess of fortune herself, but as a sadhaka and in the beginning stage of Krishna conscious devotion, how do we develop that mood to be going towards achieving the love for Krishna?
Well, at least theoretically that is the goal of life. Theoretically, everybody is sure that this is what Bhagavad Gita is saying, this is what the Bhagavatam is saying, this is what Prabhupada has said. The goal of life is to achieve love for Krishna. Since you know that theoretically, the next thing is to practically do those things that lead up to that and make that a reality for us. So we have stages in it. First, we understand the theory. Then we start executing. Execution gradually gives us realizations. When you follow the order of the Lord, follow the order of Prabhupada, what is mentioned, it's sometimes difficult for us to change our paradigms in the material world. But you take it as a sadhana, take it as an austerity, and you do. When you do, you read, you do, you act practically like that. Gradually, you get realizations like a spiral, an upward spiral. You move up in your Krishna consciousness. You move up in your Krishna conscious understanding. And afterwards, it develops a conviction that this is it. This is the stuff. Then it becomes the reality for you. There's no other reality. The material world is no more the reality. It is just a temporary thing which we have to do. We have to tolerate some things. You get used to it. The toleration, you're used to it. The mind is saying so many things, you become used to it. But then you're always happy to be engaged in Krishna consciousness. In this way, Krishna consciousness is made the reality. You see, I tell people that keep Krishna consciousness center and have your other things go around it. But our situation is, we keep our material life in the center and have Krishna consciousness go around it. The paradigms have to change. When you change those paradigms, it's very difficult.
Wow.
But once it changes, you become settled. The Krishna consciousness is my reality. Krishna is the goal of life, and I have to do this. Till you change that, Prabhupada said, that is Nishtha, fixedness. Till you come to Nishtha, he said, it will be difficult and challenging. Once you have decided, I have no other business in life but Krishna. The goal of life is to get love of Krishna. If you have understood it firmly, even though you have maybe having a little bit this and there's some attachments, some this thing, that everything, but for sure, you know, this is my pathway. Then gradually other things fade out because they don't have much importance. I think this is the theory, and we should move towards it by acting in Krishna consciousness, because it is doable. It happens to people. People are passing away with devotees surrounding them, chanting Hare Krishna, and they're also chanting Hare Krishna and leaving their body in Vrindavan. Perfect life. It is happening. They go back to Godhead. They're chanting Hare Krishna, passing away in Vrindavan, having led a life full of devotional service. This society sends people back to Godhead. It's no ordinary society. It's a very lofty plan Prabhupada has got. Send the whole world back to Krishna. That's what he wants. It's no ordinary ideal. Nobody has got such an ideal. Amazing, lofty, ambitious ideal. Sankirtan movement. This is Lord Chaitanya's desire and all the Acharyas' desire. And you think it will not work? It will work. So many people are behind this, including Lord Chaitanya himself. So all we need to do is to do it. The mind is telling you it will not work, that will happen, this will happen. It's keeping you covered. But the process will work. It is working. And that's what it is meant to be. So have full faith and execute it. Okay, Sridhari Madhavji.
Thank you, Maharaj. But one supplementary question, if it's okay, Maharaj.
Shri Madha Prabhu,
Yes.
actually there are other people online to.
Okay, then okay, fine.
I'll come back to you, or you can send a note to me. Yes, Ji.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Dandavat Pranam. You told about courageous, and Rukmani was very courageous and bold. And we want, when Krishna, we should be courageous and bold. The courageousness, doing service, sometimes we know courage converted, because we are in the material world, to arrogancy. And we don't realize sometimes.
I couldn't hear you. Courageous and bold.
Yeah. Because the courage sometimes, when give us the benefit, it repeatedly, and then it goes to the become arrogancy also. Because there is a बहुत छोटी लाइन है, दुस्साहस और साहस में बहुत थोड़ा अंतर होता है. साहस कब दुस्साहस बन जाता है हमको पता नहीं लगता है, और सामने वाला हमको पता लगता है कि ये arrogant हो गया, लेकिन हमें नहीं पता लगेगा, तो हम पकड़ लें कैसे उसको, क्या ये दुस्साहस नहीं है, साहस है.
Yes. क्या करेंगे? Welcome to the world of Hare Krishna. There are all sorts of devotees in all levels of Krishna consciousness. Like I told you, Sankirtan, you have to tolerate various shapes and sizes you will find, right? And we ourselves also have one type of shape and size. So just like we are one shape and size, we have to tolerate other people's shape and sizes. And we should forgive each other and be tolerant towards each other. After all, these small things don't matter. Getting love of Krishna matters. Let not the small things stop you from getting the big thing. Like a famous person said, what separates you in the material world is nothing compared to what actually unites you. You understand? What unites you is Krishna consciousness. Because you're all Mamaivamsa Jivaloke Jivabhuta Sanatana. Krishna has already mentioned, all are my parts and parcels, my children, eternally. And chanting of the holy name and bhakti yoga processes are bringing us together with Krishna as a nodal point in the whole network, like I told you.
Yes.
So that unity is far, far stronger than the so-called separatedness pushed forward by material nature on you. Oh, he's very arrogant. Oh, he's thinking like that. Oh, that is mine. Those are very, very tiny, insignificant things. So the things that differ, things that separate us in this world are actually of no consequence compared to what is uniting us. You should focus on Krishna consciousness, because you will see enmity will disappear as soon as you focus. This is Prahlad Maharaj's advice to his father. My dear father, there is no enemy. It's your mind that's the enemy. I don't see any enemy. I don't see you as enemy. Although you tried to kill me 50,000 times, I still cannot see you as enemy. That's the reality. So these differences, that fellow is arrogant, he did to me, that is material actually. So there's a big, wonderful letter written by Prabhupada to Karandar, Unity in Diversity, which the GBC reads every session that they meet. Prabhupada beautifully analyzed what is unity, what is diversity. And diversity means material, in the material world. And we should not fall prey to that. Invariably, there will be differences. The world is designed for differences. In Kali Yuga, designed for hypocrisy and quarrel. We cannot rest on that. We should brush it aside and go ahead, trying to unite on that basis. However disappointing it may be, this is the only solution. Okay? From what I heard of what you said, here and there I picked up because there was a flickering internet voice.
For my purpose only was that to know that encourage courageousness and arrogancy. How can we differentiate? Suppose I am courageous, I do some jobs and I'll be successful in that one, once, twice, thrice. Then slowly what happened, I will starting having some puffness, and my courage become arrogancy. and I will not realize that sometimes. So how I realize that I have become arrogant instead of courageous.
Oh, okay. That's why you have devotees around you always. Don't stay alone. If you stay alone, your mind will tell you all these other things and mislead you. Don't believe your mind. Devotees are the sweetest people. They will very happily criticize you. They will happily criticize you because it is they act as instruments of Krishna. And so thank them for it. When they do too much of it, you can say, okay, mil gaya humko, I understood. Now don't rub it too much on me. You can say that also. You don't have to. But you get the message. That is why we should be surrounded by devotees. Of course, there are mischievous devotees, envious people, and they do this and that also. But Krishna will give you the brains also to understand who's saying or to what intention. Right? And you can always consult senior people and get to sort it out. I understood your question in a different way, sorry. But you're talking about a personal thing.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
quite possible that courageousness can turn to arrogance. And there's a very slim line. We can become proud very fast. You're true.
That was my answer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Who else?
Maharaj, one more question is there on the chat.
Yeah.
So he's saying that like you explained how the devotee should be like a lion at the workplace, but humble in the association of devotees.
Yes.
But how to actually practice this transformation?
How to
implement practically? How do you implement that? What steps should you as a devotee
I can't hear
take?
you. How
Sorry.
to implement that in the workplace?
Yeah, how to practically implement that in the workplace?
I don't know. I left the professional work for many years, 25 to 30 years before. Many things have changed since then. But people have not changed. They're the same conditioned souls. So these things you will meet everywhere, I'm very sure. Normally, we get intelligence how to deal with it. Krishna is saying, Dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayanti te. I will give you intelligence to come to me. So when we are in a situation where we need to work, we have to support our family, we need our roti, kapada, makan, and we need to do certain of these things. And especially in the modern world nowadays in Kali Yuga, it's not so conducive the way we do things for Krishna consciousness. But I know many of our grahasthas take a lot of austerity, being with all these type of people and still executing their Krishna consciousness. Hats off to them, they're great warriors. But these challenges to implement, the best thing I tell people is to preach in your workplace. If you can get devotees in the workplace, that is the best thing to do. In the enemy camp, you should have spies. They help you a lot. In the same way, if you have in the place, somehow or the other, if you can get some people you can preach to, then you will grow stronger there. And more people will take to it. Then you will feel very safe in the workplace. This is one of the main things most people do. Somehow preach and make friends around. Give them a lot of prasadam, give them this thing, do something for them, and become friends. They start chanting Hare Krishna, that's it. Your life will become better in the workplace. Surround yourself with devotees. You know, on the internet, I talk about this. There was this, this thing that came about, peace to me, long back, that a corn farmer, you know, he did amazing cultivation of a particular variety of corn. It was super good. And he was being interviewed. And they asked him, how do you manage it? Because your farm is surrounded by so many other farms producing the normal corn, which gets attacked by locusts and pests and this and that also around. Won't the breeze blowing the pollen from that come and fall on yours and spoil yours also? He said, I have taken care of that. They said, how have you taken care of that? He said, first thing I did was to, as soon as I knew I'm growing this corn, I attended to this by distributing free to all of them around me, the seeds of my corn. Free I gave them. And I told them that you're my neighbor, I should give it to you free. I don't want to do business with you. And so they grew the corn and they knew this is wonderful and they're doing good business. And I hold the patent. So I do business in a completely different way, which is even bigger than them. But I understood that I should be surrounded by people who have my con, otherwise my con will get spoiled. Same way, you should surround yourself with people who are also Krishna consciousness, who are also Krishna conscious as far as possible. Then only your business, your work in the workplace will become nice. Otherwise, you'll be surrounded by all these guys who are not Krishna conscious. You constantly harassed. Unless you start your own business with devotees, which I always recommend to everybody. Whatever work you're putting inside for all these other people, put for yourself and get the benefit with a few others together. And that may be a better deal. This is some of the practical things I've seen some devotees doing. Preaching in the work area, quietly, very effectively, without rubbing people in the wrong way. Because you're interested in making people who are favorable to you. Otherwise, the karmis really attack the devotees. Subtly, they attack you. They keep smiling at you, but they have some sort of a feeling this guy doesn't eat meat. He gets up very early in the morning and he chants. He's got a completely different lifestyle. Everything that I always wanted to do but could not do and cannot do. My health is bad. I'm an alcoholic. And they get into some vague type of a situation and they start jabbing you. Many devotees come and tell, I have this problem in the workplace. I tell them, give them a lot of prasadam and become their good friends. That's the best you can do. What else can you do? Right. I hope I've answered your question, Balavanta.
Hare Krishna. Yes, yeah, it was asked in the chat, so I think
okay.
devotee was asked. Yes.
Right.
Hare
So
Krishna,
thank
Maharaj.
you all very much for your presence and giving me an opportunity to read Bhagavatam along with you and share a few realizations. I hope all are keeping fine. My prayers to Lord Narasimha. And I can see here Rasananda Govinda and he is giving darshan of his altar here to me. Jai Ho. I have been there to the house and the prasadam I ate. But now we are all socially distanced. Socially distanced.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Hare Krishna Maharaj. So on behalf of ISKCON Bahrain, I would like to actually request now Nandasutta Govind Prabhu to express our gratefulness. So Nandasutta Govind Prabhu, you're there?
Oh,
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam, Ananta Koti Dandavat. How are you, Maharaj?
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Where is you?
I'm during this dull and gloomy times, these lectures are our lifeline, and ISKCON Balram Desh wants to thank you so much. We fall at your lotus feet, Maharaj. Thank you so many millions of times to spend time with us, and we look forward for your kind association in the future.
Jai Ho. Hare Krishna. Nice
Hare
to
Krishna,
see all of you. Nice to speak to all of you and be with all of you. This is amazing technology. We can keep getting association in this way. I don't have to come all the way to Bahrain, spend money, time, energy, everything. We can meet like this. Every day I'm meeting so many people now. In fact, preaching has gone so many folds higher. I am addressing some 600 people every day in a seminar on Bhagavad Gita. And they are from 22 different countries. I never addressed so many people even in the normal programs. Morning, afternoon, evening, so many. So this is I being introduced to a completely new wave in outreach. And I'm excited about it. So actually in the evening, I'm going to Muscat to give a talk also after the seminar that I give immediately. So in this way, I'm able to meet with more devotees and visit them in different places. Thanks to the technology. I think Krishna has a massive plan. He had the technology spread. First, he had Prabhupada spread the Krishna consciousness all over the world. Then he had technology spread all over the world. Then he locked it down with coronavirus. Everybody is separated everywhere, but devotees are still connected. And they're all preaching in a great way. So I think Krishna has got some great plan. We hope for the best. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Krishna Maharaj. Venkateshwar.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.